You're going to bring in an offensive coordinator. What does that look like?
Right.
Do you promote somebody from within? Do we have to carve out a whole new job for that? And what does that salary look like? I mean, there are finite dollars in this world.
But, Bob, I do want to ask you about this because you talked yesterday about, the people out in social media talking about Ohio State's poor or whatever, all these bad things going on.
Okay, and there's a difference. I didn't say Ohio State's poor. I said they don't have a $1 billion booster, someone who just writes checks so they can just spend money recklessly and pay everybody $1 million or more on the roster. Well, now you're talking about paying people millions.
Yeah.
And that puts you, like we talked yesterday, puts you into a whole new stratosphere of wealth that you need to be able to give millions to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
And you go look at Alabama, Mississippi, there's just not South Carolina. There's just not the wealth there inherently to do it. Georgia maybe has a little bit. Florida's got more of it. But it wasn't there prior.
Would it be fair for me to say that you believe Ross Bjork is the right man for this job?
Yeah, okay. I mean, the guy, people are getting critical of, of his hiring of Jake D. Look what he did at Ole Miss and A&M and the scandal and all that. Dude, so are you going to give him credit then for winning a national championship in his first year as the AD and helping facilitate all of that? I'm not giving all the credit. By the way, there was a lot of things that happened here over the prior 20 years, and most people think Gene Smith did a pretty good job. But I'll sit there and I can point to a bunch of bad stuff that occurred here. Are we going to dump that all on him? So I go, there's a balance here as to what I'm going to give people credit and blame for with different things. And after meeting President Carter and seeing the landscape of college athletics and where things are going, I think Ross has done a hell of a job. I think he's really good.
Haven't cut any sports yet, have we?
We haven't cut any sports, and he's finding ways to be innovative and aggressive, of trying to promote Ohio State and leverage the brand and do different things. I think he's done a really good job of trying to, as Bo Bishop always says, modernize tradition. Because it's a fine line here. Everybody wants it the same, but then they want to be able to compete in a new way. If that happens, there's going to be changes. I think a lot of the stadium stuff has largely been really good.
Right.
Not everything is going to be a home run, but you've got to try something to realize if it's going to work or not.
Well, sure, all the grief they cut for the last year, the Victory Bell. I think Victory Bell was a hit. I think people enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah. There's been a lot of good stuff. So I'm saying, not everything's going to go off 100%.
Right. And you would, and I don't know, granted, I haven't known you your whole life. I've known you for a few years, though. I get the sense that you would have no problem saying if there was something they were doing wrong.
Yeah. Well, I would say it. I'm not a huge fan of the camp song. And that's okay. Yeah. Maybe we could find a different one. But listen, you don't know if people like it until you put something out there and try it. It's okay, well, we'll try that for a season or two, and let's try something else, and something will probably stick. Got to figure that out. But largely, they've done, I think, a pretty good job with everything that they've tried, and all the initiatives and the planning, and trying to utilize the stadium in better ways, getting some of the south end zone suites, just different things. The stuff that him and Ryan have been together, and figured out how to kind of, push some things in the right direction. And by the way, he came into a situation that was very difficult. When he came in, the NIL situation, Ohio State wasn't all that great.
Yeah.
And they had some issues and some shortcomings of trying to piece stuff together. Gene was on his way out, and you're in a transition phase, and they got it together last year and did it in a hurry. And that's a testament to him being involved. Ryan with what he's done, and I think that if I didn't think he was good at his job, I would not be endorsing him the way that I do.
So, just curious for my knowledge on this. Okay, Matt Patricia, when Ohio State has the opening for defensive coordinator,
yeah,
and how does it does Ryan say, I want to go after Matt Patricia, and then just does it, or does he have a conversation?
Ryan doesn't control the checkbook of the university.
Does he say, he goes to Bjork or whatever and says, I want to interview this guy?
I'd like to bring in this guy.
Okay.
What are we thinking?
All right.
It was the case with Chip Kelly last year. He had a buyout and different things. That's why they hired Bill O'Brien first. All right, well, Bill left. I'd like to bring in Chip. This is probably what it's going to cost, and we're going to maybe have to pay some of the buyout and different things. So you go talk to Ross. They figure out a plan. Sometimes Ross probably has to talk to President Carter about that.
Right.
and they figure out like what this looks like going forward.
But in the situation like say with Patricia, though, like Ross and Ryan both have to turn the key at the same time. Like Ryan can't say I'm hiring this guy, and Ross say no, you're not hiring this guy.
Yeah, there's got to be some approval, and I'm sure that like they give him a large degree of discretion on who he wants to hire.
Right.
It's more unless there's like some background stuff with him.
Right.
That would, if you had an issue with that might be a publicity issue.
Right.
Where you're trying to figure that out of maybe some negative news around the university if the guy's got some sort of history or something. But outside of that, I think he's got sole discretion. The problem then comes, not problem, but the merger comes of like, okay, financially, what does this look like?
Right.
What do we need to offer him? What can we afford to offer him? What is it going to take to keep him here?
Right.
And or bring them in. And that's a lot where they're at right now with Matt Patricia's. People are, oh, Ross is cheap. This and I'm like, no, listen, they're making a very competitive offer. Like, it is, like, has he been presented? I forget whatever the term was the other day.
Yeah.
I'm like, the overtures have been made. There's conversations have been had. I think Matt Patricia understands what the offer is.
Right.
And I don't think that's something that they were dragging their feet on either. It was, how do we make this as competitive as possible? What can we handle? And also, part of that is the math of, well, if you're going to bring in an offensive coordinator, what does that look like?
Right.
Do you promote somebody from within? Do we have to carve out a whole new job for that? And what does that salary look like? I mean, there are finite dollars in this world.
Was Patricia on a 1-year deal when he came here?
It's a great question.
I wonder if he was.
I'm not positive. Maybe two.
I didn't know if he was, or if there was like a buyout, or if he wanted to leave, or how that would all work. If he decided
if you go to the NFL, I don't think there is a buyout.
Right, but so he could just break the contract and say, I'm leaving for this. It might be a clause in the contract too. I guess.
I don't know how all that works. I'm not sure exactly if it was a 1 year, 2 year. I wouldn't even guess on that because I could see it being either.
Yeah, let's call him on the break. Good on the show.
Speaking of
offensive
coordinator, do you think Day still wants to not be play calling after last season's success?
I think if he could,
and even most of this year,
if he could find the right guy, do it. I think, but that's part of it is like merging somebody that you're comfortable with, that you trust, like inherently, and it's not just calling the plays; it's running the offense on a day-to-day basis. I mean, Ryan's got a lot of things that he's got to handle.
Yeah.
And you look at that Big Ten championship week where you're trying to make sure that you're getting Chris Henry to show up while you're being the head coach. And if you're also the offensive coordinator, that means you got to be driving the offensive scheme meetings and everything like that. And there's a lot to that. That's not an easy situation. So I think if he could get that off his plate again, ideally he would like it. But it's so much of it's the right person and the right fit of making sure that I feel comfortable with this person taking over this for me, and I don't have to micromanage them, because if you're starting to do that, you might as well do it yourself.